Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello students, I'm Jitesh Gola and today we are going to start with Unit 4 of Class 11th main course book. So the learning objectives if we talk about of Unit 4 are going to be the first one, analyze the conflict in a narrative. So narrative means if any story we are reading, so what are the different conflicts involved in that. So we'll talk about that and how to analyze that, how to interpret the same. Then we'll talk about how to write formal and informal letters. So letter writing also we are going to learn here. Beside that we'll learn to predict, infer and deduce while listening to the text. Along with that we are also going to learn about maintaining the flow and control the direction of conversation while speaking. So all these are going to be the learning objectives of this Unit 4. So let's start with the unit. Firstly, we are taking the warm-up exercise that is based on reading and writing here. Have a book review week. Divide the class into group of 4 or 5. So what the teacher is going to do here, the book review week is going to be organized and the teacher will divide the whole class into group of 4 or 5 students. Each group should read a storybook of their choice. So any of the storybook, it's up to you, whatever the particular storybook you would like to select for of your choice, you can take and you have to read it. Then they can choose to read individually or together as a group. As a student, either you have to read that particular storybook in group or as an individual. At the end of the week, the student should have a group discussion on the characters. And at the end of the week, what will happen? When you are done with your reading part, you have to appear for a group discussion on the characters. What were the different characters came across in your book when you were doing the reading? What were the different characters present in that? And the main events or the action of the story. So the reading part is done and after that you are supposed to do discussion with each other where you will involve the characters, main events and the different actions which were involved in your story. After the group discussion, what is required on your part? Because that group discussion, reading part is done. Now the second part of this warm-up exercise is going to be your writing part. So after that, let student fill in the table below with the details of the book. Now what you have to do? You have to list the characters that were involved in your book. So 4 columns are there based on your book reading. Whatever the book you are reading, based on that you have to keep in mind the characters. You have to mention the different characters there. Action or the points, action points or the events, you have to mention the important events which were involved in that or any other point. Then was there any problem or the conflict in your story? That is one of the important part or the element of a story writing if we talk about. So that also you need to mention. Then resolution or the climax. What was the end of the story? What was the climax point if we talk about where the change was brought in the story, where the transformation was shown in the story, that you have to include here as the concluding part. So hopefully it is clear to each and everyone. This warm-up exercise with the help of your teacher you are supposed to proceed with, where you have to read the book and then based on that you have to do the group discussion with your students, with your other class students, and after that you have to complete this table where you have to write down, where you have to fill all the asked details. Now let's move to the next part. Let's learn reading. A narrative if we talk about is a story or an account of an incident that may be real or imagined. Whenever you are reading stories, it can be of 2 types. Either the imagined one based on the imagination or sometime it can be relevant or the real one where you are able to correlate with your own life, where it is actually existing in the society, where you can see that how the different examples are visible of that particular event or the situation taking in the story. People enjoy reading a narrative if they feel interested to find out what will happen to the characters. So, when the readers are going to take interest in reading the story, obviously when the very interesting characters are there, the theme is also very good, and the events which are involved in the story are also going to be the interesting one. So that only if all these things are present in our story, in the story that we are reading, it is going to create the interest among the readers. Usually if we talk about, the interest of the reader is sustained if there is a conflict in the life of the character, and reader is going to be attached to that, and if some sort of conflict or any sort of problem has been shown in the story, and later on the solution is also coming out. So readers are taking much interest in such kind of stories. But we have to take care of that. The story should not be too much complicated. It should not be like that too many conflicts we have involved, or too many problems we have taken, and which is creating the chaos within the story, where the result or the ending of the story is useless. You might have read so many books where this kind of things happen, and these kind of text if we talk about, or these kind of stories if we talk about, are not much popular among the readers. A conflict. Now we are going to discuss that what the actually conflict is. Conflict is a struggle between opposing forces. If the different characters are there, so what kind of conflict is going on between them or among them? Like it can be the conflict between the good and bad, or so many other things can be there. It could be between the people. That is the example they have given, Test of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, in which they have shown that how the conflict between the people can take place. The conflict can also arise between the men and society. That is shown in the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The conflict can also be shown in any of the story between men and animal. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Or it can be between men and nature. The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. It could even be a conflict with a person also. Ulysses by James Joyce. So these are the different examples given to you where we can talk about the conflict, how the conflict can arise. We have seen the conflict can be between the different people. It can be between men and the society. It can be between men and animal. It can be between men and nature or the environment. So many scope we have discussed here where we can include the conflict in our story. And these conflicts which are taken in any of the story are having the different ending also. The conflict is resolved at the end of the story. Ultimately, this is the main purpose of taking the conflict, because if you are involving any of the conflict or problem in the story and you are not resolving it, the readers will not take the interest. Sometime it happened, a sequel you are going to bring, that's why you are keeping that conflict, but ultimately when you are going to finish with those sequels also, you have to resolve the given conflicts. So it can be resolved at the end of the story, and sometime happily and sometime ending in tragedy. So always the result is not good. Many movies you might have seen that happened now, when the story, because movies are also based on particular stories, and when particular story is being taken in the movie, sometime the happy ending is there, sometime the ending is coming out in the form of tragedy, or some sad ending is going to be there. So the same way in the story writing, if we talk about, these are the things which are being included, which are creating the interest of the readers. Modern narrative, if we talk about, often leave the ending open, because it happens many times, it is trying to instigate the people or the reader to think about the ending of that. They are just trying to involve the reader to be the part of the further story. So that's why it is going to be kept as open ending, and it is for the reader to decide what happens next. So here it is on the part of the reader that they are going to decide that what is going to be happen future. What is going to be happen in the future. Often there is a serious message in the narratives. Many times if we talk about the narratives or the story, we are getting the different messages also. The moral sort of thing we are going to get, which is said to be the theme, and that is actually the theme or the main idea of the story, where the writer would like to convey some moral values or would like to convey any message to their readers. So hopefully that is clear that we have talked about the narrative and the different elements of that, and conflict is going to be the one of the important element that we are going to discuss today. Now let's move to the exercise past based on the same. Let's practice reading. The following story is about an encounter between the narrator's father and a gunman. So this story, here we have to talk about that story is there. Characters, we have to identify what is the theme of the story, clear, and sometime it is written in first person or sometime in third person. So here if we talk about the narrator's father and gunman, these two people are involved in that, so it is written in the third person. Read it carefully and answer the questions that follow. We have to read this story or the narrative here, and then we have to give the answer to the questions that follows the same. Before proceeding, I would like to suggest all of you to go through the questions first, just to get the idea that what kind of questions has been asked, and then come to the reading part. Another important part of story we talk about is title or the heading. What the title of the story, because sometimes it happens the title is that much catchy or attractive one which is influencing the reader, and many of the reader are attracted towards that title, and then they will start reading the particular story. So here also the title is given. We can see here the title is Papa and the Gunman. So here that Papa is refers to the narrator's father. Papa had just opened the store and was alone when the man entered with a gun. He first asked for Papa's wallet, in which he found only $3. He then waved the gun threateningly and ordered Papa to open the safe. So this is sort of the incident has been shown here by third person, the narrator telling the story or the narrative related to his Papa and the gunman. Papa was more than willing, because he want to help that man, and he was more than willing to help him to open the safe, but in his nervousness he turned the dial to the right instead of the left and locked the safe. So what happened, because the gunman was there with the gun, so Papa got little bit nervous, and instead of dialing it to the right and instead of dialing it to the left, it was turned to the right, and finally the safe was locked. There was now nothing for Papa to do but put on his reading glasses. So what he did, he put on his reading glasses and open his notebook, sort of diary was there with him, and start on an unaccustomed combination. And he started recalling what was the combination of opening that safe. There are some men who, in moments of great stress, rise to heights normally beyond them. So here the narrator is mentioning his viewpoint that there are people in the world, when they are in stress, they are behaving beyond the normal people. Papa was not one of these, but he mentioned that his father was the exception. He was not like that. He missed the first time, muttered an apology for that, because at the first time he was not able to open up the safe for that man, so it was sort of robbery. So we can see some humorous effect. So humorous effects are also given in the story, that how the person was trying to threaten him, and he was trying, and he also asked for forgiveness when he was, apology means forgiveness. He asked for forgiveness as he was not able to open up the safe, and glanced fearfully at the gun, and at the same time he was fearful also, and he was looking at the gun. Hurry up, growled the man and waved his gun again, and the man, who was getting restless, he was not able to wait for too long, and he said, hurry up. Then Papa tried twice more and failed, and again he tried 2 times, but this time also he was totally failed in opening up the safe. The man was beginning to be suspicious. Now the man was having some doubt. He asked, what's going on here? Why don't you open it? So he asked to Papa that what's going on and why you're not ready to open up the safe. But by this time, frustration had overcome Papa's fear. Although he was fearful, frightened by the gun and the man, but now he got frustrated because he tried so many times and he was not able to open up the safe. How can I open a safe? He asked irritably. If you get me nervous by yelling at me and waving a gun, if you will just be quiet for a while, I will open it. So, although he was frightened, but now he got irritated because he was not able to open up, and again man was asking him to open the safe. So he replied that, how can I open until and unless you're not going to be away from me? Why do you are just keeping your gun or yelling at my ear? So have patience and be quiet for some time and then I will open it. You can't expect me to stand here the whole day. The man complained that I'm not going to be here for whole day. Somebody might come in and catch me because he was a robber. So he said that somebody definitely will come if I'm going to stay here for long and will catch me. Papa was a reasonable man and could see the justice in this complaint. So again the impact of the humor we can see here, that the narrator has mentioned that he was a very reasonable man and he was able to understand that will be wrong if somebody will come and will catch him up. He said, okay, just be quiet, I will get it this time for sure. He assured the man that this time definitely I am going to open up the safe. But the result was he did not. What's the matter with you? You got the combination right there in front of you. You blind or something? Then the man got angry. Okay, what's the problem with you? Combination is already given in front of you. You have opened up your diary and found it out. Then why you are not able to? Are you blind or something else? Okay, you are smart. Here, Papa handed him the notebook. You open it. And then Papa got frustrated and angry also, and he said, okay, you just take this and you open it. So with Papa at pistol length, the men began on the combination. Now the men started working on the combination given to him by Papa. Despite the danger of violence, if the men's effort proved fruitless, I am sure Papa stood there hoping he would be unsuccessful. And when the Papa gave that combination to that man, somewhere he was having the idea that this person is not going to be successful, because he was thinking that if I am not able to open up, how he could. To Papa's undying shame, but what happened? It was going to be the shameful situation for him. This man, who obviously had none of the benefits of an education, who was not at all educated or not skilled in opening the safe and all such kind of thing, opened the safe on the first try. Because opposite to the expectation of father, or opposite to the expectation of Papa, who was thinking that he won't be able to open up, he was able to open up the safe at the first try only. As much to Papa's surprise as to the others' anger. Now the other people, those who were present there, they were getting angry, and the Papa was surprised that how he is able to open up. The safe was empty. Papa thought fast. I didn't know, he said hurriedly, I'm not the boss. When the safe was opened up after that much, when the safe was opened up after so long, it was found empty. The other people, those who were, the things are going to be there, but when it was opened up, nothing was there. The papa thought fast and he replied that I didn't know. I'm not the boss. He said, I don't know anything about that. I'm not the boss. You are not the boss? Asked the man. He said, just a clerk, that's all. If I was the boss of a big place like this, do you think I would have only $3 in my pocket? Now what he revealed, that do you think if I would be the boss, I would be having only $3 in my pocket? So he disclosed or revealed it to the robber that he has $3 in his pocket, and it worked. Well, if you are just a clerk, the man pocketed his gun. Here, take your $3 back. He said, okay, fine, if you are just a clerk, and because he was misunderstanding him and he might be thinking that he is the boss. So he said, do one thing, you just take your $3 back, which were taken by him. No, that's all right, Papa said, you are entitled to it. So that is also very funny when he said that you are entitled to it, because somewhere it is revealing that Papa was not aware what to say and how to say to someone when he is interacting with a robber, what is going to be the conversation with him. So he said that no, that's all right. The whole affair then took an aspect of an argument, and now what has started, the argument sort of thing started between two friends over a restaurant bill. The same way here the conversation or the argument is started between the papa and the gunman. When in the restaurant the two friends are there, and at the time of paying the bill, one is saying I will pay, the another one is saying no, I will pay. So this sort of thing started going. But Papa was very firm. He was very determined, and the men left with the $3. Because Papa was not ready to take back his dollar, which were taken by the men in the beginning, and ultimately, because father here, because the Papa was very firm and determined, he did not took it back, and finally the men who came there for robbery went away with the $3 after a argument between these two. It wasn't until a week later that Papa discovered that day's receipt, and within a week what the father discovered, the receipt of that particular day. He had hidden the money in a roll of wallpaper and forgotten it, and he recalled that he had saved the money from that safe. He kept it in a wallpaper roll and he forgot. It is possible that I am wrong. Now the narrator is saying, here I stands for the narrator. Wherever I used here, it is for narrator. He said, maybe it is the possibility that I am wrong, but I think that if that man will show up at the store, Papa will give him the money. He's saying, might be I am wrong, but I am sure that if that person, the robber, again going to be present at the store, father is going to hand over him the money as he kept with himself, because later on he recalled that all the money where he kept. So this was a very humorous story. We have seen the different characters involved in different events, the conflict and the outcome here we have seen. Now let's move to the questions based on the same. The first question they have asked, how did Papa end up locking the safe? Instead of opening it, what was done by Papa and how wrongly he closed it? So we have to mention Papa turned the dial. Papa turned the dial to right instead of left in his nervousness. And ended up locking the safe. Now the question number 2, they have asked, why did Papa fail to unlock the safe? Why he was not able to? So we'll mention here, Papa failed to unlock the safe because he was unaccustomed to the combination to open the safe. Means he was not familiar with that combination, and that's why he was failed to unlock the safe or to open the safe. The third question based on that, why did the gunman try to open the safe himself? So in the story we have already seen that that was offered by the Papa itself. So what we have to mention here, the gunman tried to open the safe because, we'll mention because Papa asked him to do so, because it was asked to him by Papa itself. Question number 4, how long did it take the gunman to open the safe? What did he find? So the two parts they have asked in this question, that how long did it take? So firstly we have to mention about that he opened it at first try only. Although the Papa was not able to open up the safe after so many tries, but he was able to open it at first try. And what did he find? He found, so we'll mention, he found an empty safe. Clear? So the second part answer also we have given here. Question number 5, how did the nature of the encounter change from the moment the gunman entered the shop to when he left? List 3 changes that happened. So in this question number 5, we have to mention that how the nature of the encounter changed, because in the beginning something else was there. He entered there for the robbery and he was looking for the safe and he wanted to get the money out of that. But when he left the shop, what was the situation? He left with the $3. So here we need to mention what changes took place there, what changes occurred in that situation. So we have to mention in the beginning, if we talk about in the beginning, Papa was here. We can say in the beginning Papa was nervous as well as frightened. But later on what happened, when again and again that the gunman was asking to open up the safe, Papa became irritated. Also when he asked him to try his own to open up the safe, and finally when the gunman tried, and at first try he was able to open up. Later on we can also mention about argument started between the gunman and the Papa, when nothing was found, and here the gunman was returning him back the $3, as he came to know that he is the only, Papa is the clerk, not the boss over there, but the Papa was not ready to take those $3, and this kind of argument is started between the two, and finally here we can say the finally gunman left with the $3. So here these changes we have to mention, and this will be possible for you people to write down only if you have paid attention while you were reading the story. So with focus and concentration you have to read the story, and then it will be easy to give the answer to these sort of questions here. Now the question number 6, they have asked, do you agree with the estimation of the narrator of his father's character when he says there are some men who in moments of great stress rise to heights normally beyond them? Papa was not one of these. Give one reason for your answer. So here they have asked you that do you think whatever the perception of narrator were related to his father were true? Because when he mentioned that his father was not one of them who can come out as the beyond the height of a normal being. When some stress is there, many people are there, those who are reaching to their height. They are just behaving in a very different way, which is resulting in the positive one. So do you think when he mentions such kind of thing? So somewhere it totally depends on you that how you are going to take this statement for the Papa. Either you can say that yes, he was true in saying that because he was not, the father was, or here we can say the Papa was not able to respond in a proper way. He was not able to react in a proper way, and ultimately he gave the $3 to the gunman. But somewhere we can say that yes, if we talk about here, the father character was not appropriately mentioned by the narrator. Because here we can say that Papa, acted wisely. Might be it was by mistake or whatever the situation was, but he was able to protect the money of the safe. Anyhow, he forgot or he pretended that he is not aware, and simply by giving the $3, he was able to save the rest of the money. So it depends on that, and here this way you can give the reason, because he acted wisely and saved the money of the store. Clear? The next one, they have asked, where did Papa find the money eventually? So it is given in the story. Later on he recalled that the money was hidden. Money was hidden in a roll of wall paper. Question number 8. They have asked, what do the narrator's last word about his father suggest? So the last words of the narrator we talk about, what does it suggest about his father? So here, because when he mentioned that I am doubtful, but I have doubt in that, but I am sure that if that person, the gunman, is going to come back again in the store, the father definitely is going to give the money he found later, or he recalled where the money were kept. So it shows that his lack of, it shows narrators his lack of trust in Papa's ability to rise to the occasion, means to behave beyond the normal people. And somewhere we don't know whether he acted knowingly or it was just the situation which actually resulted in the happy ending where he was able to save the money. So here we can say, but it shows the narrator was not having that faith or trust in his Papa. So now the question number 9 they have asked, what would you have done if you were in Papa's place? So as a reader you have to give your own viewpoint here, that how you would be reacting if you were in Papa's place. So here you can mention, if I would be on Papa's place, I would never compromise. I would never compromise with the gunmen. And secondly, you can mention that I would not have insisted on giving $3 to him as it was given in the case of Papa. Now we are going to start with the second part of this reading exercise. The following story is about a boy with a reputation of cruelty who does something completely out of character. So here we are going to talk about the story where a particular boy is the main character and he was famous for his cruelty, but that kind of thing happened which was totally out of his character, which was totally opposite of his character. So read and answer the questions that follows. Here the title of the story is given, The Boy with the Catapult. Catapult is a device that we are using to hit stone or the birds and all. So The Boy with the Catapult is the title of this story. The oddest fellow in the class was Bodhraj. He was vindictive and took pleasure in hurting others. He was very mischievous sort of person, mischievous sort of a child who took pleasure or happiness in hurting others. We were all afraid of him. So here also in the third person it is written here. After my father's promotion. So here we can say it is written as we. The narrator is narrating the story, telling the story about the incident related to his life. After my father's promotion, when we moved into a large bungalow on the outskirts of the city, my friends seldom came to visit me so far. So he is telling that how when they were shifted outskirts of the city, the school friend used to come to visit him. The only exception was Bodhraj. And out of these friends was one Bodhraj. He found it good hunting ground, and that was the reason why he used to visit him, because he was not happy to meet the narrator or meet the friends, but he was finding a good hunting ground over there. One day, my mother said to me, if your friend is so fond of destroying nest, tell him to clean our storeroom. The birds have made it very filthy, very dirty. So, narrator's mother told him that why don't you ask your friend to come and just clean the storeroom of our house, as he is that much interested in hitting the nest. I protested. You said it's cruel to destroy nest. Then the narrator said to his mother that, but you always tell me that it is not the right thing, it is not the kind way, or it will come under the cruelty if we are doing or destroying the nest. I didn't suggest he should kill the birds. Then mother replied that I am not asking him to kill the birds. He can remove the nest without harming them. So anyhow, any solution can be taken out and he can remove those nests from the storeroom. The next time Bodhraj came, I took him to the godown. And finally, when Bodhraj came next time, the narrator took him to the godown. And it was dark and smelly because of the presence of the nest bird. Because of the presence of the bird's nest. Bodhraj had brought his catapult. Bodhraj had brought his catapult. Catapult, as I told you, that device to hit with a stone, with the help of a stone. Earlier time you might have seen. The children used to play with that. He carefully studied the position of the nest under the roof. Near the ventilator was a manna's nest. So what he did, he started looking at the position of the nest in the different places and go down, and one he found near the ventilator, that was manna's nest. The manna's little ones up are there, said Bodhraj, aiming with his catapult. He aimed at that nest with his catapult, and he was able to find out that yes, manna's little ones are there in the nest. I noticed two tiny yellow beaks peeping out of the nest. Then the narrator also saw that two small beaks were peeping out, looking out. Peeping means looking out of the nest. Where are the parents? I asked. Then narrator asked the Bodhraj that where are the parents? Bodhraj raised his catapult and replied to the narrator, must have gone in search of food. They should be back soon. So he said that they might have gone, so definitely they are going to be back. I wanted to stop him, but before I could open my mouth, there was a whizzing sound. And narrator wanted to stop Bodhraj to hit that nest, but before he could stop him, suddenly a sound was heard, and then a loud clank as the pebble hit the corrugated iron sheet on the roof. And before that, the sound was there, and a stone hit, or that pebble which was used along with that catapult, hit the iron sheet on the roof. Hit the corrugated means made up of that iron. That sheet was hit and the sound was there. The tiny beaks vanished. Now those beaks were not visible. The cooing and twittering ceased. That sound made by these birds was also stopped. It seemed as if all the birds had been frightened into silence, and it was giving the impact as if all the birds are very fearful and frightened because of this activity by Bodhraj. Bodhraj let fly another pebble, and then he sent the another pebble through this catapult. This time it struck the rafter, and now that it hit that area, Bodhraj was proud of his aim, because now he was able to hit that correctly, so he was feeling very proud. He had missed his target twice and was angry with himself. When the chicks peeped over the rim of the nest, Bodhraj had a third try, and now the third try also he was going to give when he was not able to get the success in the previous two. This time the pebble hit the side of the nest, but the nest was not dislodged. Nest was there at the place only, it was not displaced from there. Bodhraj lifted his catapult again and again, because some sort of frustration and anger was there in him, because although he was near to his aim, but not exactly he was able to hit that. Suddenly a large shadow flitted across the room. Suddenly they noticed something else is there, blocking the light from the ventilator, entering from that ventilator window. Startled, we looked up, and the confused both narrator and the Bodhraj looked up. Gazing down at us menacingly was a large kite. The another big kite was there with its wing outstretched. The chicks began shrieking loudly, and the chicks, those who were present in the nest, they started shouting because of the presence of that kite. The kite has been coming here every day, said Bodhraj. And then the Bodhraj realized that this is the kite who is coming regularly or on daily basis here in the go down. I realized why broken wings, straw and bits of bird flesh littered the floor. Now the narrator realized that what was the reality of this go down, why he used to find these wings, straws and the other bird flesh on the floor. Bodhraj raised his catapult and aimed at kite. Now instead of aiming at those nest or the small birds, he aimed at the kite. Don't hit the kite, it will attack you, I shouted even as the pebble missed the kite and hit the ceiling. The narrator warned him, he warned Bodhraj that don't hit, because if you are going to hit that kite, definitely it's going to attack on you. The kite spread its wing wide and peered down, and that kite also got warned and then opened up wing and just started coming down. Let's get out of here, I said, frightened, and with fairness the narrator told him to go out from the go down. The kite will eat up the little ones. Now somebody mentioned this. The kite is going to eat up these little ones. This sounded rather strange coming from him. Him means from Bodhraj, because earlier he was the only one who was trying to hit those little ones, the birds. But now when he was getting that much concern about these birds, so it was a little bit strange, and that was totally opposite of his character. He was not of like that kind, because earlier we have seen that how he was hitting at these birds and was trying to kill them with his catapult, but now he was that much concerned about these birds. He handed me the catapult and some pebbles from his pocket. He took out that catapult and took out the pebbles from pocket and mentioned, aim at the kite, and told the narrator, you just aim at the kite, go on hitting, don't let it sit down, he instructed. And he started giving the instructions to the narrator that keep hitting the kite and don't take rest, don't let her take the rest. Then he ran and pulled up a table standing against the wall, and now what he did, he went to the wall and he started pulling the table from there to the middle of the room, and he brought it in between the room. I didn't know how to use the catapult. The narrator was not able to understand that how to use the catapult, although the narrator tried but missed. Bodhraj brought the table right under the Maina's net, and the table he was trying to bring, he brought it under the Maina's nest. Then he picked up a broken chair, and after bringing that table, he brought one broken chair also and placed it on the table. He put it above the table because he was not that much tall that he could reach to that nest after standing on the table. So what he placed one broken chair above the table. He climbed on the chair, gently lifted the nest and slowly stepped down. Simply he stood there and then he took the nest and came down. Let's get out of here, he said. Then Bodhraj said, just let's come out of here after taking the nest, and ran towards the door. I followed. The narrator also started following him. We went on to the garage. Then they went to garage there. It had only one door and a small window in the back wall. A beam ran across its width, and only one door and window was there from where the beam was running across its width. The kite can't get in here because the space was not there. So he said, kite won't be able to enter in this garage. And climbing onto a box, placed the nest on the beam, and that beam was there where he placed that nest. The Maina's young had quietened down because they were frightened or very nervous, so they were not making any sound. Standing on the box, Bodhraj had his first peep into the nest, and he stood on that box, one box which was kept there in garage, and he started peeping and looking into the nest. I thought he would pick them both up and put them in his pocket, as he usually did. And this time what the narrator was thinking, his friend, he thought that he is going to take them out from the nest and will keep them in their pocket as he was in habit of doing with these birds. But after looking at them for a long time, he said, bring some water. The chicks are thirsty. And what were the words of Bodhraj? He instructed narrator to bring some water. As he said, the chicks are thirsty. We will put it drop by drop into their mouths. And he said that you bring the water and we are going to feed them, we are going to put that water in their mouth drop by drop, because these were the very little ones. I brought a glass of water. Both the chicks, beaks open, were panting, were making the sound. Bodhraj fed them with drops of water. He told me not to touch them. He told me not to touch them. These instructions which were coming from Bodhraj were very strange, because here we saw in the beginning of the story, when the intro was given about him by the narrator, that he was not of that kind. He was not at all concerned about these words and all. Unlike that, he used to kill them. He used to hit them with the catapult. But now his total transformed character was revealed. Nor did he touch them himself. He instructed narrator also not to touch, as well as he also did not touch them. How will their parents know they are here? Then narrator asked that how the parents are going to get to know that these birds are kept here. They will look for them. Then, with very much determination, as if he is very well aware about their activities of the bird, he said they will look for them. Anyhow, they are going to find them out. Then we stayed in the garage. We stayed in a garage for a long time. Bodhraj discussed plans to close the ventilator, and here when we were there in the garage at that time, he kept on doing the discussion over that how to close this ventilator, so that the kite would not be able to enter the go down again, because through that ventilator only that kite entered and was used to kill those birds. That evening he talked of nothing else, and whole day he was keeping about the safety of the birds. When Bodhraj came the next day, he had neither catapult nor pebbles. Next day when he came to narrator's house, he was not having any catapult or the pebbles that he used to carry earlier. He carried a bag of seeds. Instead of that, what was there with him? The bag of seeds. We fed the menas young and spent hours watching their antics. So the different activities by these words they started watching, and they were watching for hours, and also fed the young ones of Mena through the seeds brought by Bodhraj. So that was the story. Hopefully it is clear to each and everyone. Again, you just go through the silent reading of the story. It will be easy for you to understand. And now we are going to take up the questions based on the same. The question number 1, they have asked, why was Bodhraj the narrator's only visitor? So we'll mention that Bodhraj was the narrator's only visitor. The reason being because the narrator's residence, here we can mention that narrator's residence was at the outskirts or the outer area of the city, outskirts of the city, where Bodhraj found a good hunting ground. So that's why he was the only visitor of the narrator. Second question they have asked, how many times did Bodhraj try but miss the Mena's nest? What made him stop trying, and finally why he stopped trying for the same? Then we'll mention how many times. So we'll mention Bodhraj tried thrice. 3 times he tried to hit that nest. What made him stop trying? Then we'll mention the appearance of large kite stopped him. Clear? Because the appearance of that large kite which was coming in through that ventilator stopped him. Question 3. I realized why broken wings, straw and bits of bird flesh littered the floor. Explain. Because here we can say that when narrator mentioned that I realized why broken wings, straw and bits of bird flesh littered the floor, it means narrator came to know about the reality of this filthy go down, that he came to know that it was due to that kite who used to come and used to kill the birds in the go down. Question number 4, they have asked, this sounded rather strange coming from him. What is the narrator referring to? Second part, they have asked, why did it sound strange? Why did it sound strange? So here we can see that this statement, when the narrator said that this sounded rather strange coming from him, coming from Bodhraj. Why he was referring to? He was referring to Bodhraj concern for the safety of little birds, the chicks. Here he was concerning, or he was referring towards his concern towards these. Why did it sound strange? But why it was sounding very strange, we have to give the answer of that. Because we'll mention it sounded strange as Bodhraj always been in the habit of hitting or killing birds. But this time he was talking about the safety of these birds. So that's why it was very strange for the narrator to understand. Question number 5, they have asked, what causes Bodhraj to go from being the attacker of Maina's chicks to their defender? How he became the savior instead of attacking them? Earlier he used to attack them. How the sudden transformation took place in his character? So here we can mention a sudden pity, the kindness roused in him by the tiny chicks in danger of being eaten up by the kite. Causes Bodhraj to go from being attacker of Maina's chicks to their defender. So the sudden pity or the kindness which was aroused after looking at these tiny birds when they started shouting due to the entry of the kite, it brought that transformation or change in his character. So these were the question answers based on the story that we have taken. Hopefully it is clear to each and everyone. You just have to go through the story once and need to attempt the given question answers.